How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is officially Sunday game day. We are just hours away from the New York Giants taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers down in Tampa. Today, as always, I'm just here to give you my NFL picks for week number 3, give you a full preview of Giants versus Bucks, and then some bold predictions for that ball game. If you haven't already, definitely check out my top 5 things to watch for video. As always, I'm just looking at everything I believe is going to be a key factor in the ball game and things that you should be looking out for in regards to the Giants versus the Bucks. But to start off, I had a slight improvement in week 2 as far as picks are concerned as compared to week 1. I went 11-5 in week number 2, which leaves me currently at the season at 21-10-1. That tie is going to piss me off, but here are my picks for week number 3. Obviously, already I am 0-1 this week because I didn't believe in the magic of Gardner Minshew, which was a huge mistake. Obviously, the biggest story in this ball game is the fact that Daniel Jones will be starting for the New York Giants and Eli Manning will be in that backup role. I'm going to get to that in a moment, but we just have to calm down and realize that just because there's a new quarterback in there, we cannot look past Tampa Bay, who is looking like a very good team coming out of week number 2. In week number 1, Tampa Bay did get stomped by the 49ers 31-17. Jameis Winston tossed up 3 picks. They weren't really able to get anything going on offense, but in week number 2, they looked significantly better against the Carolina Panthers. Their defense stepped up huge for them. Winston was mistake-free for the most part throughout the game. Just overall looked like a much better team from week 1 to week 2. We just hope to slow that momentum in week 3. Speaking on the Tampa Bay defense, they do have playmakers on that side of the ball. Obviously, everything is kind of subject to change because we have a completely different quarterback in the ball game, so there's going to be different areas for teams to attack. I mean, obviously, in weeks 1 and 2, the game plan was simple. Allow Saquon to do his thing, but force Eli Manning to beat us. You know, they weren't confident in Eli Manning's throwing ability, but now that there's a different threat in, everything kind of changes here. What hasn't changed is, yet again, we're facing a team that has a stud in the secondary. Vernon Hargreaves is a guy that you should definitely not sleep on in this ball game. He's had 2 good weeks here. In week number 1, he was able to pick off Jimmy Garoppolo, and then in week number 2, he went off for 11 total tackles. Of course, outside of Hargreaves, the newly signed Ndamukong Suh is on the defensive line for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who, regardless, is always a threat. Has he been the most dominant pass rusher as he looked like he might be in the past? No, but he is still always a viable threat to get in and get pressure on the quarterback. Outside of him, Levante David has been a standard in Tampa Bay for a long time, and for a good reason. He is a very good interior linebacker. But the Tampa Bay defense has been hit with some injuries, and I'm going to review those quickly for you. Some guys that are huge for them on defense, first of which is linebacker Devontae Bond. He will not play due to a hamstring injury. Cornerback Jamal Dean has an ankle injury and will also be out. Backup quarterback Blaine Gabbert will be out with a left shoulder injury. Perhaps the biggest name on this list, rookie linebacker Devin White. He will actually not be playing Sunday due to a knee injury. And then one person on this list, the outside linebacker Shaquille Barrett, didn't participate in practice due to injury. He's listed as questionable as far as it goes right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did actually play in Sunday's ball game. Those are some key injuries that could heavily impact Tampa Bay's ability on defense, but just as dangerous as their defense is some of the playmakers that they have on offense who we cannot allow to get a roll going. A man I mentioned in my top 5 things to watch for video, Mike Evans, is one of the most physical wide receivers in the league. He's one of the few guys that can beat you deep, go over the top of you, but then also box you out and catch a possession ball. With that being said, he is yet to have his breakout game in 2019. In week 1, he was held to just 2 catches for 28 yards, and in week number 2, he had a total of 4 catches for 61 yards. The man that's kind of been getting all of the publicity and all of the throws in Tampa Bay to start off this season has been Chris Godwin. Godwin, always a deep threat, was able to tally up 3 catches for 53 yards and a touchdown in week 1, and then went off in week 2 with 8 catches for 121 yards. That's incredible. And facing a secondary like ours, we're going to have to keep these guys in check and make sure that they're not able to get as open as, I hate to say it, less talented wide receivers did last week. Obviously, Mike Evans was hampered by injury in week 1, which could have limited his impact on the ball game. But regardless of that, they are both back up to full speed, and we need to shut them down if we have any chance in this game. On top of the receivers, we do have to watch out for the run game. The combination of Ronald Jones and Peyton Barber. They may not have the flashiest of numbers come game's end, but they do a fantastic job of moving the chains and setting up the pass. Now the Giants, of course, as I mentioned, and as every news outlet in the world has mentioned, Daniel Jones will be trotting out at starting quarterback this week. As we know, it's kind of been a roller coaster season for the Giants in regards to injuries and media and just everything going on. So coming into Tampa Bay, it's going to be another test for Daniel Jones. He showed in preseason that he can block out distractions, especially when all that Baker Mayfield stuff was coming out. But it's regular season, it's different now. So it's going to be important for him to block everything out and take this game one step at a time. For the Giants, we do have some notable names on the inactives list, but we do have quite a few guys that are going to be coming back and one making their debut, which is going to be huge. Obviously, Cody Latimer suffered a concussion about a week ago now, and he's not going to be ready for this ball game. We kind of saw this coming. Concussions are a tricky thing, especially now in the NFL. They take them very seriously and want a guy to go slow through his recovery, and we want to, of course, wait until he's 100%. No reason to rush him back. In addition to Latimer, wide receiver Benny Fowler has also been listed as questionable with a hamstring injury. But we do have some good news, as tight end Garrett Dickerson, cornerback Grant Haley, wide receivers Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton, and guard Kevin Zeitler were all full participants in practice this week and are expected to play Sunday. So these names are huge for a couple reasons. First of all, Sterling Shepard being back is going to be great. We have obviously lacked a veteran presence at the receiver position, and especially with a rookie starting, you're going to want a guy that's been there to kind of calm his nerves and obviously give him another option to throw to. Next, Kevin Zeitler. Arguably our best offensive lineman that we have. Him being back is massive, again, for Daniel Jones. We want to protect him best we can. I mean, he's already entering a new environment. The last thing we need is constant pressure in his face, so that's another huge addition to this ball game. Zeitler, of course, being hampered by a shoulder injury as of late, but it appears he may not be 100%, but he's ready to go for game time. But now, in regards to the Giants offense, there's really not much to talk about because we have no idea what we're going to see. There's nothing I can really say that we need to improve on because now the game has completely changed. I mean, with Eli, it was the struggles of whether it was him or the play calling or if he could throw the ball downfield anymore, and that's just kind of been wiped away now that Daniel Jones is starting. But on defense, that's a different story. The game plan is simple on defense. We need to pressure Jameis Winston. As I mentioned in my top 5 things to watch video, when Winston feels pressured, he is liable to make mistakes, as shown in week number 1. Our defensive line has been non-existent through 2 weeks. BJ Hill, Dalvin Tomlinson, and rookie Dexter Lawrence need to step it up and need to get into the pocket, get some hands in the face of Jameis Winston, and allow him to toss it up. In that video of my top 5 things to watch, I showed some visual examples of what Jornis Jenkins claimed to be 10 seconds of him guarding a receiver because our defensive line is not getting in. That just can't happen anymore. Whenever even a mediocre receiver like Buffalo had, I'm sorry I'm bashing their wide receiver group, but there's no one that really stands out, and they kind of went off. That can't happen. We need to get pressure on Jameis Winston. Of course, outside of the quarterback change, the biggest thing coming out of Pat Shurmur's press conference was the fact that changes were coming to our secondary. As I've already mentioned 1,000 times, I hope these changes are Corey Ballentine, but we're just going to have to wait and see. Of course, as always, I'm going to be a homer here, and I say the Giants are going to pick up their first win of the season. But I truly believe it this week. I feel like the organization is revitalized. The move to Daniel Jones brought energy back to the Giants, which I can just feel. Just the conversations I'm having with Giants fans, we feel a new energy. As sad as it sounds that someone had to lose their starting job to make that happen, it is what it is. You know, it's the changing of the guard, so to speak. Every generation goes through it. But I believe it will be a good day for the men wearing blue, and I think we're going to finally get our first win of the season. My bold predictions for this game, now that the Giants have a viable option, someone the defense needs to worry about in regards to throwing the football, I believe Saquon Barkley will have one of his best days as a pro. Barkley is just under 200 total scrimmage yards away from tying Eric Dickerson and Edgerrin James for the fastest players to 2,500 scrimmage yards in a career at just 19 games. I believe he will do that today against the Bucs, and in 19 games, he will tie them for 2,500 total scrimmage yards. And my second bold prediction, I believe the call Jones to Jones will be said once again in this ball game. I believe TJ Jones will be the recipient for Daniel Jones's first career touchdown pass. Jones to Jones just sounds great in my head. The media will run with it. It'll be on the front page of all the papers. So I believe Jones to Jones will occur in this ball game, and TJ Jones will show the Giants why they should have never cut him in the first place. But that's all I got for you guys today. Definitely enjoy the 1 o'clock games, and then of course the Giants will be playing at 4 o'clock Eastern time. As always, be on the lookout for my post-game review, which will most likely be coming tomorrow morning. Other than that, guys, check out my channel, leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and sub if you haven't already. Thank you so much for clicking on this video, and I'll see you in the next one, guys.